Welcome to Code the Future, the show where we explore the technology shaping tomorrow's mobility. We're here in fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada at CES 2026, and today I'm sitting down with Marc Weber, VP of Product Management at Vector, one of the dark horse enablers of the SDV revolution. Marc, it's great to have you with us.
It's a pleasure for me. Thank you.
So I know we're going to be talking a lot about Alloy Core, our new foundational vehicle software platform for which we just announced the name. But before we get into the platform, its benefits, what it helps to solve for, maybe you can just sort of break down what is your role at Vector? What is the unique selling proposition of what the company brings to the auto industry these days?
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, I'm Marc. I'm with Vector since 15 years approximately. I started there as a software developer, moved over to the product management side of things, and now heading the product management of our embedded software and tools. And like Vector as a company understands itself as the simplifier of automotive engineering in a sense of, okay, we want to relieve our customers from the burden of the complexity burden automotive engineering and BE engineering brings with. And specifically for the embedded software department I'm speaking for, we are offering a comprehensive software platform scaling from the largest microprocessor together with you guys, with our Alloy Core, down to the smallest microcontroller. And this is not only the embedded software, but it's also reflecting in the tool chain and in the workflows associated with that.
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, complexity seems to come up a lot these days. I mean, you can't go, two articles without seeing complexity, time and time again.
You're right.
Can you speak to that in a little bit more depth in terms of what exactly are the various complexities that OEMs are grappling with when it comes to SDV development these days? What's giving them headaches?
I like the question because we should quantify complexity a bit. So complexity has multiple dimensions to my perspective. On the one hand side, we have a very fragmented architecture. So like it's not a single software solution. It's not a single platform. You can build your applications on top, but you have still a domain-oriented organization, maybe even in a sense of, okay, I have a software solution, a software platform solution for infotainment. I have a software platform solution for ADAS. I have a software platform solution for body, powertrain, chassis, whatever.
Yeah.
And to some extent, I'm a strong believer that this can be simplified in a sense of, okay, the foundational layer should not be solved by every individual domain over and over and over again, but there can be a foundational software layer spanning across platforms.
Mm-hmm.
Not saying that every application developer is confronted with the same software development ecosystem, because I think there should be, or there will be in future still an ADAS software ecosystem, there will be an IVI ecosystem. But I think that the underlying layer could be unified.
Sure.
And of course, for the usual vehicle domains like body, chassis, powertrain, and all these kind of things, there's the high potential of getting that unified even more than for infotainment and ADAS.
Mm-hmm. And would you say that, we've sort of come to a realization, or the industry has come to a realization that they need not build out the entire software stack on their own? They can outsource certain components, and at the end of the day, it's not going to make a difference to their end user ultimately?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah.
So like we have seen trend 5 years back, so like multiple statements, we have to do everything on our own in order to own it, in order to having control over it. And I fully agree with the later statements in terms of we need to control and we need to kind of, control it. But this does not necessarily mean I have to implement everything by myself. So like, if I'm still in charge of, or I still can control it without having developers sitting down and implementing everything, because there are learnings from decades in software development, why doing everything from scratch over and over again? Instead, I think we need to find, and now we are coming to the second complexity dimension, supplier management or partner management, in a sense of, okay, today you have tons of partners involved, which is on the one hand side good, because there's a lot of expertise coming from diverse areas.
Sure.
On the other side, maybe in that regards, you can also have some unification, so single point of contact without losing the property of having expertise coming together.
So this is exactly what Alloy Core provides a solve for, right?
That's a perfect example or a perfect selling point for Alloy Core, because we have QNX as the company providing safe and secure operating system and hypervisor solutions. We have Vector as one of the companies providing middleware solutions on top of operating systems. So instead of having, for example, an OEM now managing the both of us, reaching out to QNX,
One
reaching
throat
out
to choke, so to speak.
one throat to choke, yes, but having not only from a commercial side or from a management side of things, but also now coming to the, maybe coming back to the first complexity dimension, or it's just even a third in terms of, okay, optimizing your building blocks you're plugging together.
Yeah.
So in the past, you just took product A, product B, product C. You could imagine like Lego blocks. You have a blue one, a red one, a coral one, a yellow and a green one, and plugging them together. And everybody plugs them together slightly differently. So the buildings you're getting are diverse.
Yes.
With Alloy Core, we are not just plugging the coral block of QNX and the red block of Vector just together, but we are kind of forging or merging them together so that it's just a single block.
Yeah.
And then the OEM, the customer, can decide what's the throat to choke. It's QNX or it's Vector. So like there can be different distributions made out of it.
Well, and hopefully there's no throat to choke at the end of the day. I mean, that's ultimately what it's all about, right? But so I know last year we announced our plans to co-develop this platform together. Just recently announced the name. We announced early access version. We announced that, certain OEMs like Mercedes-Benz are very interested in the platform's capabilities. Walk us through what that development journey looked like over the past year. What were some of the hurdles you had to overcome? Were there any surprises? And, what have some of those key KPIs been in terms of how it's performed from a benchmarking perspective?
First of all, I'm very proud of that kind of collaboration we are having. So I remember the first meeting we had more or less exactly 2 years back at Detroit, when we had the first talks. Hey, there is an industry problem we want to solve. Performance, integration pain, safety alignments, and all these kind of things. So there's a bunch of issues or challenges the industry has and had. And this is the reason we sit down and said, hey, well, let's solve it. And let's not solve it project by project, but let's solve it once and then scale it to multiple projects. So this was the first talk back then. And then it's incredible to see how the team performed over the past 2 years. So we had 1 year, a little bit less than 1 year until everything was set up. And then within 1 year, the teams found together and they really work as a team. They were very much focusing on the techniques. I'm coming to the KPI part of the question quite soon. And now we are really also looking for the non-technical aspects of our collaboration. One throat to choke, one business model, or not a business model in the sense of like Vector knows what QNX does in outbound selling, or what QNX knows in Vector outbound selling. No, that's totally different.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of, okay, what is the value proposition of the platform?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's one part. And then for the KPI thing, for the technical side, it's back in the projects we had together, we optimized in the single-digit percentage range. So like you optimized the operating system, Vector optimized the middleware stack, and we could manage to get 5%, 7% increase. So that's everything we could squeeze out of mature software implementations. Today we are talking about 200 something percentage of throughput increase, and a large 2-digit number in latency improvement.
Yeah.
So that's just incredible to my perspective. So what you can see to my perspective is that individual company optimizations reach the limit.
Yeah.
So we need to start better together. We need to start optimizing on a system level, and this is a collaboration effort or joint effort. And in case of Alloy Core, it's QNX and Vector.
And what sort of early feedback have you had from some of those, initial customer conversations, or I guess what's resonating the most with respect to the platform?
Well, it's all over completely positive. So we never had a negative feedback. Wherever we presented the idea of alloy core, it was always perceived, hey, that's the solution we want to have.
Yeah. When do we get it? Once we have it?
Exactly. When do we get it? Surprisingly, it was different aspects which seemed to be appealing to the customers. So like
Interesting.
for one potential customer, it was definitely the performance aspect, because there was some serious issues because they run out of resources in a serious production project, and it would be a nightmare for them to switch hardware. And by the optimizations which are going into alloy core, they could perceive, or they could persist their hardware setup and then go into serious production. Others were more on the business side of things. Others were more on the service side of things. One road to choke. So if I have a problem, for example, with the platform, I mean, software will have problems also in future. So like, who is responsible of doing the teardown? Who is responsible of getting the root cause of the problem?
Yeah.
And it's not a finger pointing like in the past. So like, there's one party, either you or us, saying, hey, we are taking the lead on that.
Yeah.
So it's really that the reasons are diverse.
And so I guess looking towards the future, early access today, this month or whatnot, when you think about where you want to be a year from now, what sort of milestones will occur over the next year? Where do you want to be?
In 1 year from now, we will have the first safety certified version of alloy core being released. So like end of 2026.
ISO 262.
That's the
ASIL
ISO
D.
26262.
Yeah.
Probably according to ASIL Bravo. ASIL Delta will follow up later.
Yeah.
But this is the initial release, which can then be used in safety serious production projects. In between, there's one milestone in the mid of 26, and it's our, let's say, functional complete milestone.
Okay.
So as you said, early access versions are already available for selected customers.
Yeah.
Those early access versions were focusing on communication, on performance. Now we are moving towards easing up the configuration usability. So the full alloy core experience can be experienced by mid of the year. And then we give ourselves half a year to get everything certified.
So theoretically, the first cars that one day might have alloy core as the basis might be what?
2027.
2027. Okay, so we're not too far off then. Yeah.
At least the platform is capable of supporting that.
Yeah.
We are currently in customer engagements and discussions on whether SOP is then 27, 28, we will see. Yeah. But that's definitely we are not talking about 2030 or something.
Yeah. And how do you think about the broader ecosystem in terms of other players that you could bring into, the collaboration, right?
So there are, to my perspective, two main involvement scenarios. So scenario one is you get part of the alloy core team, which would be the more sophisticated one. So like really contributing to the alloy core ecosystem, to the generic foundational software layer, which can be spread across the domains. So it's designed, it started with QNX and Vector, but it's from the idea and from the infrastructure and everything, it's designed to accommodate more members.
Other partners, contributors, and
or engaging as a distributor. So taking alloy core, building something around, and having then a more infotainment-oriented distribution of alloy core, or having a more ADAS-oriented distribution of alloy core. That would be a second option.
Right. Yeah.
And the third option, I forgot, is alloy core will be an open ecosystem, not in a sense of OSI compliant open source, so free for everybody. That's not our intention. But it will be open, it will be source available so that everybody can engage, develop, and it will be free for non-commercial use.
Right. Okay. So prototyping,
startups, universities, education can all set on alloy core, do development just as soon as you start for serious production development and serious production projects. Then we need to talk about a business model.
Gotcha. Okay. So that's all to come in terms of the growth and building out of the overall ecosystem or whatnot. I want to spend a moment pivoting away from alloy core, as exciting as it is, for a bit of a lightning round in terms of, thinking about where the auto industry is today. What excites you most about it? You can't say alloy core. And what kind of things are keeping you up at night?
Oh, well, that's a tricky question. So where's the auto industry? I would say it's on a massive turning point or a massive disruption point from multiple dimensions. I mean, there's case for some years, like connected and so on and forth. But today, I think we have really the case areas, like starting also from infotainment, ADAS, connected, shared, and so on. But we have the SDV part as well. And for software-defined vehicle, I think the journey just began. So SDV is not something we can put there once and we are done, but we are on a journey, because SDV to me is we are decoupling hardware. The car is the hardware development from the software platform development. So in my ideal world, so Justin called it, I'm living in the utopia. But this is something I would see in future, like having really, I don't like the comparison with the smartphone industry, but I think they managed to release devices, hardware devices, independent from the software platform. And this is the way the automotive industry is heading for as well. So having a mainline, a baseline development for the platform, just tagging and branching for different vehicle releases.
Ongoing lifecycle management.
And then what would be awesome to me, if I buy somewhere in the future a new car, I just park it next to my existing car.
Port it all over immediately, just like that.
Exactly. They're like flipping all the configuration items, the personalization and everything I have to my new car. And ready to go. So I'm not leaving my car ecosystem, basically.
Just like when you transfer your device over to another device, everything that's on it, right?
That's the...
Sounds like a utopia. So now paint the alternative scenario in terms of what's keeping you up at night.
How do we get
there?
How do we get there? Yes, but the major challenge from my perspective is how do we change the mindset and how to
culture shift
and how to help our customers also to adapt their organization. So like if we're talking about software platform development and you do not have a software platform group or
where do you start?
Where do you start? Exactly. So like in order to make it really reality and happen, I think it starts with the mindset, the culture change, and the organizational change.
Having these sorts of conversations one after another with the right people, and eventually the penny drops, right?
And but it's really hard. And I mean, it's not a secret. It's the same for Vector, right? So like it's the same for us. For us as a company, going the HL way, not listening in a sense of requiring a customer telling us what exactly he wants to have, but going more into a proactive way, saying, hey, this is our proposal. It's not a must-have or it's not something you must use, but this is a starting point and we can discuss, we can argue, and we can adapt it. And this is a mindset change we also need to do in-house. I see that all over.
Definitely. Okay. Last question, always our final question, is if you could give your younger self, as you were starting out in the industry, a piece of advice, what would it be and why? Knowing what you know now.
I would probably say, hey, start with the basics.
Learn the fundamentals.
This is fundamental. So program yourself a little bit. No, really. So the experience I made at the very beginning is still helpful to understand the ecosystem you're working in. So you should not be on a meta level. Just you're understanding or scratching the surface, but really having some deep knowledge about where in which kind of area you're working on. But then try to go the step to a more system-wide understanding, to more a system-wide view on the problem space. So don't be too focused on a specific thing, because this is actually the talent we are lacking today, to my perspective.
There you go. And that's another topic that I'm sure we could spend a whole other 30 minutes talking about for the next podcast. But no, it's great talking with you. Really excited to see, where our work together goes, and we'll check back a year from now and, talk about what's happened, right? So thanks again.
It was a pleasure working with you all guys in our collaboration. Looking forward to the next steps.
Great stuff. Thank you.